Yeah, actually, Mark, bringing it back to Southeast Asia and your neck of the woods, your research looks at how orangutans can adapt in and around palm oil plantations and modified habitat. Can you talk a little bit about your research and how it's informing conservation planning on the ground?
Yeah, very briefly. I remember when I started to do this kind of work conservation 30 years ago, the timber industry was one of the worst enemies of conservationists because we thought, it's not good to exploit the forest, animals are disappearing. Today, they are one of our allies because we have realized that a well-managed timber concession can really accommodate the needs of wildlife. To me, agriculture, I'm trying to look at it the same way. The agro industry is going to stay, we like it or not, it's going to develop even more because there is an increasing need for all these commodities. So what we are trying to do, one thing we are trying to do in Sabah in Malaysia where I am working is to try to understand the interface between the orangutan and oil palm development, oil palm agriculture and these crops. So we are following animals and we are trying to see if these animals can adapt to this new landscape, man-made landscapes. And indeed, it's quite amazing to see that animals like orangutans, who are of course very smart, they can adapt as long as you give them a chance. So the first thing is hunting has to be controlled. If of course the animals are hunted, you lose them, there is no doubt about this. But if the plantations are developed in such a way where there is still natural habitat retained, in terms of corridors or patches of forest here and there, what we will see is that the orangutans will use these corridors of forest to move from one patch of forest to the next. And if people are able to live with these orangutans around them, I think a balance can be found, and we can have a landscape where the agriculture is going to produce all what it is supposed to produce, but also you will have species like orangutans and other animals that can survive. I don't say that orangutan can survive in a pure palm oil plantation, but if we have a mix of production plus natural forest, a lot of species will do. And I think this is a hope as well, to come up with better designs for these new man-made landscapes. Yeah. This is necessary and this is urgent to come up with this kind of ideas, this kind of information, and to share that with industry, to share that with the government, to share that with the people who are going to develop this landscape.
So then who implements that? If you come up with the best type of design for orangutans being able to survive in a modified plantation habitat, is that working with industry? Is it working with government? Does it need to be a combination of both? And
we need a combination of both, and I think that we already realized it's not that easy. But I think that the first buyer is the industry in itself, and a lot of companies nowadays are really keen on listening to this kind of facts and to try to improve their own practices on the ground. And then after that, we have, of course, to engage with the government to change policies if needed, or to make sure that the best possible policies are adopted by these governments. And you need a lot of awareness. You need to work a lot with the people on the ground, because, of course, in this kind of dream we will ask people who are living in Africa or in Southeast Asia to share the same landscape, the same place with animals like gorillas, chimpanzees in Africa, or orangutans in Southeast Asia. And it's not necessarily easy because sometimes you have conflict. Sure. So we have to work also on these issues and to make sure that people and wildlife can cohabit together.